Yeah, she's very anti-lockdown. Very anti-lockdown. I follow her because I think it's good to follow people
Yeah.
who you disagree with, even though it is a little bit triggering on occasion. But I mute them for a while if they're pissing me off too much. But that's what she said. Wow, just looking at the scenes in central London, must be 1 million people there. Well, no, there wasn't. No matter what your personal views may be, clearly people need to be heard. Well, I'm not sure I agree with the last sentence. And I could do without the kiss as well at the end. You don't need to kiss me. You're bringing me bad news. But 2,000 retweets. There are quite a lot of people who seem to feel this way. And I don't know. I think just dismissing them as idiots. I mean, obviously somebody who wears a yellow star is an idiot. But I think just dismissing people as idiots, it didn't work for Brexit. Did it?
No.
So I'm not sure it's a good idea to do it here. So I would engage with Emma once in a while, but in general,
then it gets
I just
hard
think
because you're talking to an idiot.
well,
This is, you see, this is really interesting to me because in the thought process leading up to this, first of all, it's a very interesting tweet, Ian, because you've obviously, she's trying to put a case where people need to be heard, and there is an argument for that. You've mentioned Brexit, and I'm sort of thinking, I remember people after Brexit saying, well, look, we've got to forgive the people that didn't vote your way after Brexit. And then the next issue comes up, and then we've got to say, but well, you've got to forgive the people who thought a different way about, lockdown or COVID or whatever. And it is going to get to the point where there is literally in the Venn diagram, there is nobody left that you can trust or want to forgive. It is. I find it is a really difficult one.
I think the point you're making, Julian, this whole thing is I disagree with you, therefore I want nothing to do with you. I don't think it's helpful in the long term. I don't think it's helpful. I think it's part of the reason. No, I genuinely don't. I think it's part of the reason that the Labour Party got so annihilated at the last election. You're either with us or against us.
People are willfully ignorant, though. And when you start on a basis of, well, I think this group of people is less human than me and deserves less rights. That's not a great place to start. It's a really hard, it might be easier for you because you're in this society, you're a male. Do you know what I mean? You're white. I know you're Jewish, so that comes with other things. But, when you have to argue for your own humanity, there's a point where it's like, this person just does not think I am as human as they are. And it's a really hard part to start at.
I agree with you there, Dana.
True. Yeah, I see that is the case. And yeah, maybe it is easy for me as a white man, albeit a Jewish one, but as a white man to live in this society and brush things off a little bit. But I just think things are so polarized now.
Yeah.
And how does all that happens is you swing from one extreme to the other and there's no middle ground. And I quite like the middle ground.
Yeah.
I genuinely do, politically, certainly. I'm not.
I'm right. I'm with you there. I'm with you. I just don't know where the middle ground is anymore.
I think the problem with talking to the other side is they don't even want to acknowledge that there's a problem. Like, look at the race report. Come on now. That took us back in time. And
you can't say we've got to listen to them when there doesn't seem to be any reasoning. And I'm also sharing the middle space. I like that middle space. I can see both sides. But on this case, I don't. I do think it's, even with Brexit, I could get that. I just think I'm angry that, look, we're in this mess. But I do think that there are certain instances like this march, which makes no sense to me. When you could have gone on the Stephen Lawrence march, you could have used your energy there for something that might be actually sticking up for somebody. This is just you're selfish, self-centered.
Well, I mean, they would argue. Hang on, I'm going to have to provide a few counter arguments here because as much as I wasn't particularly enjoying, I follow someone who was sort of live tweeting. And I actually have them on alerts as well, who was live tweeting the march yesterday. Probably, it was yesterday, Saturday. Probably wasn't a great idea to be following all of those tweets and have people saying... So there was one tweet that said, these are the true British people. It's like, well, when you start saying things like that, it's never a good road. But tied up in all of this is... Right, they don't want vaccine passports. Well, there's quite a few people that don't want vaccine passports that want...
No masks.
Yeah, the no mask thing I just don't get. I mean, the sort of the screaming and sort of ranting about masks, I just really don't get that. I would just totally get a life. But also wrapped into this is people who will say, well, look at the cancer deaths that we've had, and then look at what's happening to people's livelihoods.
because their businesses are closed.
No, I'm not. Yeah, well, that's fair enough.
We do care. We also think that's terrible, but we just think, you know what? In this particular case, it seems to be spread by people mixing. So if we can't mix, we can't mix. I went to visit my dad the other day. Took him for his first haircut in 4 months. It was a good day, actually. but I'm not saying this lockdown is slowly killing him, but it is slowly killing him. He's been alone for a year. And I would rather it wasn't the case. I genuinely would rather it wasn't the case. But I'm not going to go marching against it because I can see there's a lot of scientific evidence suggesting that might be keeping him alive. Whether it's a particularly great life to be locked in your flat 24 hours a day for a year, I don't know.